Home Depot reported earnings this past week, and it was not the greatest of news. In fact, they had their biggest revenue miss in over 20 years, and they lowered their annual forecast. Two of the worst things the stock market wants to hear, but I am still bullish and think it's an absolute buy right now, and I will explain why. In full transparency, Home Depot is one of my investments. So in this video, I will provide a brief summary of their earnings followed by my unique perspective on Home Depot, which I think will be very beneficial for you guys to see how I strategize and invest. Even if you don't hold this stock, the stock market is like a family of stocks and they're all related, just some closer than others. So I think it's always a good thing to hear others' perspectives, learn and gain different knowledge, and see a different viewpoint to help you become a better investor. Consider these things, but always do your own research and stick to your strategy, but remain open to change and have an open mind to things you may have not considered before. So let's start with looking at my portfolio performance. I share this with every single video. If you like this type of transparency, be sure to subscribe. What I want to point out is I'm up 4.86%. This is some healthy gains for me as of recent. So that's about $2,700 in the green. Of course, if you have any questions on this portfolio, just ask, but we're gonna focus in on Home Depot, which is slightly in the red for me by 0.39%. So let's get right into their earnings. Again, they reported their biggest revenue miss in over 20 years and they lowered their annual forecast. Now the CFO said that customers are buying fewer big ticket items like patio sets and grills and taking on smaller home improvement projects. And this will tie into some points I have at the end, so remember that small home improvement projects. If we look at their earnings quickly, their earnings per share came in slightly at a surprise at 0.27%, but they did miss their revenue expectations by over $1 billion or by a negative 2.85%, which again is the biggest revenue miss in over 20 years. Now, they did reduce their forecast, so Home Depot now expects sales and same-store sales to decline between 2% and 5% this year, where before they said that they expected sales to be flat compared to 2022. So the fact that they're lowering their forecast and expecting a sales decline, it's never a good thing, but in this economy, keep in mind we're seeing a lot of high-quality companies sales decline year over year. So it's not like Home Depot is all of a sudden a bad company. No, it's just due to the economy. Home Depot said that their weak sales were due to bad weather and lumber deflation, and the lowered forecast is due to inflation and an expected reduction in home buying. Though Home Depot did note that they came off of 3 years of unprecedented growth, and for this sector, that was huge, and sales grew over $47 billion. So it's kind of slowing down now, coming back to the mean, and they have been expecting 2023 to be a year of moderation. So the fact that they missed revenue and they lowered their forecast, it's not such a gut punch because of this expectation of this being a year of moderation. To be different if they expected a big year of growth. So again, you got to put things into perspective. Now they reported earnings on May 16th, and you'll see here on the stock chart that their price went down sharply, but then it bounced right back up despite the negative earnings and lowered forecasts. And I think I may know why if investors are thinking the way I'm thinking. So let's start with a recent survey that showed nearly 8 in 10 Americans say it's a bad time to buy a house, which is a 45-year high. 21% of US adults believe it's a good time to buy a house, down 9 percentage points from the prior low recorded last year. The 2022 and 2023 readings are the only times that less than half of Americans have perceived the housing market as being good for buyers in the Gallup trend since 1978. So most Americans say it's a bad time to buy a home, which means home buying will most likely slow down significantly. So why am I currently bullish on Home Depot? Well, I'm going to provide to you 4 reasons why I think Home Depot is a buy now. 2 of those reasons are more of a short-term viewpoint, and the other 2 are a long-term viewpoint on why you should be buying. So let's start with the 2 short-term reasons to buy Home Depot right now. Number 1 is housing inventory is still low as people hold onto their homes in this high interest environment. I know I don't want to give up my home that has a lower interest rate and lower mortgage payment, so you can expect decent housing sales to continue as people compete over that low inventory. So houses are still selling relatively fast and at asking prices or above. This will provide some positives for Home Depot in the short term. And be sure to stay till the end of this video for a unique story on $1 million home demand here in my city of Albuquerque, New Mexico. You don't want to miss that. Now, the short-term reason to buy Home Depot number 2 is we are in the spring season and summer is around the corner, and consumer spend is always good for Home Depot during this time of the year. So the next 2 earnings could be stronger than expected, especially with the forecast reduction, because analysts are going to readjust their expectations. So I think we could see some possible beats these next 2 quarters. And regardless, this is a good time for Home Depot as people do spend more. So that's short-term reason number 2. Now on to the most important thing, the long-term reasons to buy Home Depot. And there are 2 of them. Number 1, I've said this many times before on my channel, we had a huge surge of home buying shortly after the pandemic hit, and it lasted for a couple years. I'm sure you all can remember the craziness around that. So homes sold like hotcakes at that time. All these new home buyers will be fixing up and updating their homes for years to come. That's what new homeowners do. They fix up, renovate, personalize their homes in the initial phase of home purchase, which I deem to be the first 1 to 4 years of new home ownership. It's what I did when I bought my home. Then there is phase 2 in home ownership with projects that get bigger. And this is in the 5 to 10 year range. And I believe this is because at that point, you are able to maybe get bigger loans, or you have the money now saved to get that big kitchen remodel you always wanted. And then maybe after 10 years, I'll call this phase 3, a homeowner gets their house how they want it, but there's still maintenance and some small to big wants to be done, and that phase continues for as long as you own the home. So home ownership to me is like signing up for a subscription where yearly you'll be spending money on maintenance and updating your home, which is good for a company like Home Depot. Currently, I feel we have the pandemic new home buys, and Home Depot will benefit from this for another couple of years. So long term, we will always have this cycle on Home Depot where they will benefit in each phase of the home ownership. Home Depot has a link to your home subscription. That's how I like to think of it. So that's long-term reason number 1. Now, long-term reason number 2 to buy Home Depot right now is that I know so many people currently who are holding off buying a home due to the high interest rates. And that was also shown in those Gallup polls. When rates start to decrease, I think we will see another surge in home buying, and that will benefit Home Depot in a big way. Home builders are now building homes and increasing inventory. Add to that the likelihood of rate reduction sometime in 2024 and 2025, and that will create a positive home buying environment once again. Plus, apartment living boomed the last couple of years, and I think eventually there will also be a want to transfer out of apartments and into houses. This will translate to sales growth and profits for Home Depot long term. So there's my 2 big long-term reasons to buy Home Depot now. And right now, I do think there's some investors that are being short-sighted, but it's the long-term perspective that makes a good investor. 2023 will be a year of moderation for Home Depot, maybe even into 2024, but at some point, the pendulum will swing the other way, and when it does, I will be glad I added during bearish times in a stock I believe will be around the rest of my life. So now let's move on to a fun story. Here in Albuquerque, there is a rise in demand for $1 million plus homes. You'll see here in this article, it says 2.1 million home in Albuquerque sold in less than 24 hours on the market. So within 12 hours, a contract was written up and ready to go for the home with a 2.1 million tag. The over 7,000 square foot home was built in 2015, and according to local realtors, Albuquerque's supply of mansions isn't meeting the demand. So they also mentioned there's a lot of pent-up demand right now, and they had several people reach out on this specific property when they listed it. They also said that our strategy right now is still to price homes at market value, but we're already seeing things be put on the market and then they're getting outbid, and we're seeing multiple offers again. We're seeing a lot of cash buyers. So that's what's happening here in Albuquerque. So are we seeing the next home buying craze to buy $1 million+ homes? I don't know about that, but if I had to guess what's going on in Albuquerque, we're probably getting a lot of Californians moving to our state. They're selling their expensive California homes where there is a high cost of living to somewhere like Albuquerque where homes are much more affordable, and the cost of living is much lower, and I believe this is the main contributor. But no $1,000,000 home purchasing for me. I'll be keeping my small home with its small mortgage, no problem. That's going to allow me to invest that much more. So let me know if you agree with my Home Depot is a buy thesis. And I just want to say I appreciate all my subscribers on this channel. I got a lot of new subscribers from my last video on SCHD, and I very much appreciate all your support. On this channel, we're an investing family, and we're all in this together to become wealthy. So I hope this adds a lot of value as I come out with future videos and we all get to learn together. And with that said, until next time, I hope you have a great day and thank you for watching.